So I was having a conversation today with a guy that I'm sure that everyone that knows him says he's very successful, he's very happy, what a amazing human being. And I'm having the conversation with this gentleman today, and as we dive in deeper into why he's not living his best life, because he's here and he knows that he can be here. And so as we just dove in, and I'm trying to discover, okay, what's preventing you from being the best version of yourself? And not surprising to me, and probably to you as well, is that the man in the mirror was what was holding him back. And what the man in the mirror was experiencing was fear and scarcity and lack of complete confidence in himself, his abilities, the ability for him to keep that train going at the same speed that he wants to keep it going. And so when we discuss this, really what it comes down to is that he has had situations in his life, just like we all have, almost all of us, almost everyone I know, where those feelings have been so intense that they've created neural pathways in his brain, in our brain, that causes us to experience those feelings over and over and over and over. And here's the deal, is that if you're not where you want to be, most likely it's because you've got disempowering thoughts, unhealthy feelings, non-productive behaviors, or disempowering beliefs that are holding you back. Those are the four things. And we could throw out non-productive language patterns. That would be the five. When we look at why do we have those, it's because we've wired our brain to have those non-productive behaviors, the inconsistent actions, the disempowering thoughts, the unhealthy feelings. That's what's causing it. It's the neural pathways. We're wired that way. We're wired that way. And so no amount of positive thinking, motivation, inspiration really changes that until you change the neural pathways. And so the greatest discovery, one of the greatest discoveries of this generation, is what's called self-directed neuroplasticity, the discovery that we can rewire, reprogram, and replace old neural pathways that are holding us back with new neural pathways that push and propel us forward. And so as this gentleman and I were discussing, just a complete reframe of the way he looks at life, a complete reprogramming of what he thinks and what he feels. And his question was, well, how do I do that? And it's very simple. It's very simple. The way that we do this is by getting crystal clear on how we want to think, how we want to feel, what we want to believe, and how we want to behave, and how we want to show up with our language patterns. Getting clarity on how we want to think, how we want to feel, what we want to believe, how we want to act, and how we want to speak. How does that best version of us show up? And so, it's the old deal. We can't hit a goal that we don't have. Can't hit a target that you can't see. And so when we get clear, I love to call it the epic vision. When we get clear on how we want to think, how we want to feel, how we want to show up and act and believe and speak, that clarity is the foundation. Without it, what are we shooting for? So we start with that epic vision. Once we have that epic vision, then this is where the self-directed neuroplasticity comes in. This is where we elevate our emotions. We see and we feel that epic version of ourself, the best version of ourselves. The reason we're not performing as and showing up as the very best version of ourselves is because, one, we don't have clarity on what that version of ourselves even looks like. How does that version think? How does that version feel? How does that version behave, believe, speak? We don't have clarity on that. It's one of the hardest things that most people ever tackle, is creating that epic vision. But once we have that as a foundation, that epic vision, well, then the next step of it is to what the sports psychologists would call mentally rehearse it. The motivational teachers, the motivational speakers, the religious people from centuries would say, well, now you got the vision, you visualize it. The neuroscientists call it self-directed neuroplasticity. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's seeing and feeling as if it were real. It's creating an experience that our brain can't tell the difference between real or vividly imagined. And so with that epic vision, when we daily see and feel that version of us, that epic version of ourselves, what starts to happen? Well, we start firing and wiring the synaptic connections in our brain for the neural pathways associated with the feelings that we want to experience. And as those synaptic connections fire and wire the neural pathways, then what happens to the disempowering thoughts, the unhealthy feelings, the non-productive behaviors? Those synaptic connections, those neural pathways associated with those things that we don't want, start to get weaker and weaker and weaker, as the neural pathways that we want to have get stronger and stronger and stronger. And so we're rewiring, reprogramming, and replacing old neural pathways that have held us back with new neural pathways that propel us forward. That's how we change who we are. That's how we show up as the very best version of ourselves. And I think now would be a great time for me to share that I've created an entire course on this, and you can find it in the description below. It's My Epic Life. It's a 5-module course that walks you through how to create an epic vision and how to sit and practice on a daily basis self-directed neuroplasticity. It's a life-changing 5-module course, and so I want to throw that out to you, but I want to get back to another thing that this gentleman said. He said, you know, there was a time in my life where someone had me practicing visualization. It was someone with a background in neuro-linguistic programming, and she had him doing visualization. And he said, for many years, as I did that, I felt better. And he said, what happened? Now I'm back to my old self. And I asked him if he played the guitar or the piano, and he said no to both, but he was familiar with the instruments. And so you don't tune a piano and have it in tune for forever, for the life of that piano. It doesn't happen. You have to retune it on a regular basis. The guitar, you know, every few days, at least what I've found, I don't have a great ear, so maybe it should be every day, but you retune the guitar. And our brain's the same way. We can get our brain totally in tune with that epic vision of ourself. But then we're interacting with the world. We're hearing the news. We're interacting with other people. We're feeling the vibration, the energy of others, of the collective consciousness. And it gets us out of tune. That's the way I visualize it. That's the way I see it. That's what makes sense to me. And I know it's real. And so this is not something, you know, maybe you can look back at a point in time and you say, you know, there was a time where I didn't feel these negative feelings. I didn't have these thoughts, these disempowering thoughts, this questioning, this insecurity. What happened? Well, you got out of tune. So what do? We tune ourselves back. We just have to get back in tune. And so how do we do that? Well, one way is you have a ritual that I love to call the About Me ritual, the AM ritual, where you tune your brain and your body. And you connect to the epic vision that you have of yourself. And so you feel whatever feelings you want to experience. You know, for some it's love and peace. For others it's joy and gratitude. For others it's abundance. Whatever it is, whatever the feelings are, you tune yourself every single day. And if you miss a few days, if you're like most people, and like me, you'll get out of tune. And then you have to go back and tune it again. If you get too far out of tune, you know, that's no fun. So we tune ourselves. Now, what happens? What happens when we tune ourselves? Well, when we tune ourselves to the vibration, the energy, the emotions, the feelings of love, abundance, gratitude, happiness, joy, confidence, fulfillment, wholeness. Well, what happens is our brain starts releasing dopamine and oxytocin and serotonin and endorphins. And so we're acting, we're showing up as the pharmacist in our life, making sure that we're getting the chemicals that we want to get so that we feel the way we want to feel. You know, you think about it, the way that most people live is with these hormones of stress being released over and over and over and over. Norepinephrine, cortisol, adrenaline. We're living in fight or flight mode, turning unhealthy genes on and turning healthy genes off. There's no way to show up as the best version of ourselves living with the hormones of stress being released on a daily basis. It's impossible. So what do? We tune ourselves to the energy of the emotions we want to experience. We act as our own pharmacist, releasing dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin. So what do we start doing? We start showing up as a better version of ourselves. We can show up when we're in that vibration, when we're tuned in that fashion, then we can show up and be the very best version of ourselves. What most messes with the mind is being or doing less than we can be or do. What most messes with the mind is being or doing less than we can be or do. And so whenever we get that epic vision as the foundation, and then we build upon it by tuning our brain and body into alignment with that epic vision that we have for ourselves, that's how we can then show up and live our epic life. So, honored to share these ideas, these thoughts, these insights with you. Thanks for being here. I will look forward to the next time that I get the opportunity to share with you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. I hate saying that, but it does help the algorithms, at least is what I'm told, and that gets these messages out to more people. So thanks for your continued support, and God bless. I'll see you next time.